Welcome back to Dirt, Grit, and some more stupid shit, the adventures of real estate here. And, Joanna, we were talking about our early days, which was many moons ago. I'm not trying to say we're old, but I'm just older, okay?
Yes.
Yeah, and I've
Seasoned.
got seasoned, like wine. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay. So, recently, let me tell you something that just happened recently. So I have this seller who wanted me to list their property, and it was a lot of land, okay? Couple of houses. Wasn't even in this parish. It was in up there toward the Kentwood area, way up there, close to the Mississippi line. And, I have people that have called me before to do an estate sale, which is, their parents have passed on, they've inherited the property, and now they want to do something with it, right?
Right.
And so, sometimes that's the hardest ones because sometimes I've had them where there's only 2 heirs, and I've had them where there's over 60 heirs.
Yes.
That one gets real complicated.
We did one like that.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Gets nuts.
Yeah, the house I bought from you that time. Remember they had like 10,
Oh, yeah.
and one was in jail.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I had to go. Yeah, see, we ought to talk about a couple of those. We had to go get papers signed in jail. Yeah, that's right. You can still sell a house from the jailhouse.
Yes,
right.
you can. With the right title attorney, you can.
That's right. That's absolutely correct. So, we list this property and we do all this stuff. And we finally get a good contract and we're like, okay, let's do this. Well, there were some items on the property. And I said, listen, you got X amount of time to get these items off. I'm like, okay. So, and this is, communicating with a couple of different sellers. And, some live in-state, out-state. That's when it's really tough, right? And so they told me, well, we're going to get this, and this off, but y'all can have this. I'm like, what you talking about? We can have what? Well, there's a 42-foot RV on the property that we're just going to give to you. Now, in real estate, we get our commission, we charge our percentage, and we get paid. And everything has to always be passed by the broker. I don't think people out here understand that we still have a license that we hang it at a brokerage, and we have a broker that oversees still what we do because we don't want to get in trouble.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to get in trouble.
Right.
And so if someone wants to give you something other than money, they want to give you a boat. Had that happen to me, a couple of jet skis.
You have
to I know. I have some really good clients. Really good clients. And, you have to pass that by the broker.
Yeah, of course.
And the broker has to, okay, put their little mark on it and go, okay, well, you can lower your commission for this, and if they don't have any interest in what the client is giving you for type of payment, they can write off and say, we have no interest. We're allowing Sondra to, receive that donation from the seller. Man, I had co-listed it with somebody else too. We were all excited. I'm like, hey, guess what? I just got this phone call. Guess we can leave our commission the same, and on top of that, they're going to give me a 42-foot, a 42-foot RV. It rolls. You just drive it out. They said they had the keys to it. Look, Sondra, we'll get you the keys, and we need y'all to move it. Y'all can just have it. It was, in the estate sale. Apparently, their parents had owned it or something, right?
Yeah.
Right? So we get everything. I'm like, when's the last time it was started? And he said, well, I believe someone in our family went over there and started, I don't know, probably about 30, 40 days ago. Oh, okay, well, cool. Because I haven't, it's a lot of property. Remember I told you it's a lot of property.
Yeah.
And I didn't walk everything to see where everything was because it's just a long walk.
Yeah.
But I could see
it's on
it.
Acres? Acres
Oh,
land?
acres and acres and acres.
I was about to say Kentwood,
Yeah, I could see on Google Maps, and you could also see from my videographer that I hire to do all that. I could see the houses, but I couldn't see what was covered and what was in this big, like a garage type stuff. And so I called my man that I co-listed it with. I said, okay, we got this chance of me and you fixing an inherited RV. You go on out there now. I need you to go on out there and look, just go ahead and take some pictures. Tell me what we got to do, and we'll do it. So he goes and we get to make the model. We look it all up, and then it might have to have this done or this done too. So then we get a mechanic, and then we had a tow truck ready. We had everything ready.
Yeah, I was excited.
We was excited, man. We was excited. And then he tells me, look, Sondra, when we get this done, I've already got a buyer for it. I'm like, wow.
For the RV?
Yeah.
Oh, he was on it.
Yeah, my little man that I co-listed with,
Yeah.
my other agent, he was on it. I'm like, okay. So, you put this into it, you split that, then you split the money. We were up to $40,000 that thing was worth, and we were going to split it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounded like a win.
It was a win-win. So he takes his phone up there, and he FaceTimes me. Because I want to see the RV. We don't know what it looks like. Because it's going to be ours. They're going to give it to us.
Exactly.
Shit. He took some pictures, and he got on FaceTime. He FaceTimed me.
I have an idea in my mind of what it looked like.
I still got this video on my phone, okay? It was sitting up on jacks. Someone had done stole all the wheels on it, and the back wheels had 2 wheels, okay? The generator was gone. The hood was popped open. Parts of the engine were missing. Someone apparently had gone out there and just took what they needed.
Right, it's just sitting there.
Right. Then he opens the door. Now, look, he's on FaceTime with me. He's laughing. He goes, Sondra, I think we've inherited a piece of shit. I'm not sure about this. And we looking. And I'm watching. He opens the door to the RV. Now, this is a big-ass RV, right? Opens the door. You know that movie, Ratatouille?
I do.
Oh,
Yeah.
you should have seen them. They were live up in there, like 50 to 100 of them. Like, wee! They were just having times. They were in the captain's chairs, turning around. They were eating up all the drawers. They done took all the paper out. Done rat shit it all through there. I'm not kidding. They were on the dashboard. I said, shut the door. He shuts the door.
God.
He says, I think we have a problem. I said, no shit.
No, we don't.
We don't have a problem because it's going to stay right there.
Oh, my God.
Do you know that when someone wants to give you something, you tell them, yeah, it's still your responsibility to get it off, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to make a long story short on that.
You're a person of your word. So you say you're going to get it. Come
on
and get it.
Do you know you can't just have a normal tow truck come
Nope.
get that? That thing's heavy. You can't have... You can't have even a bigger 18-wheeler type tow truck. There's a certain tow truck you got to have
Right.
to pull this thing out and get rid of it. Do you know we put that thing on Facebook Market, right? Because we're going to be a person of our word.
Yeah, we're going to get rid of it.
Take this piece of shit, right? And somebody answered and said, because we said free to you. And we put your pictures on there and people were...
Are you serious?
Look, so this man he called me and my guy, and he says, you know what, I'm going to take it. And we're like, oh, thank you, Jesus. We got another week before we close. Please take it off the property. Because we got to get it off the property.
Yeah, you got to get rid
of it. The buyer's not going to close on the property.
Exactly. They don't want that burden.
Well, he goes out there. He wants it. But he brought a normal tow truck. And we said, you can't have that.
It don't have wheels, right? You said that.
Right. Well, you can put wheels on it, but it's still going to be heavy.
Yeah.
Girl, this damn man went out there with a normal, they had paid somebody a normal tow truck to come out there. They back up. They go to pull it slowly out. Do you know what happened to that tow truck? Went straight up on his ass in. I said, what are y'all doing? Y'all going to tear the property up before we even close on it.
Oh, my goodness.
So.
And their liability.
Yeah, liability. I was like, I said, what do we got ourselves into? Well, it was just the seller not having the responsibility and wanted to be nice and give something to us, but we didn't know it was a shithole, right?
Yeah.
But we took care of him. He finally got it off the property, and I just never forget that. You get all excited because, look, I have had clients give me stuff before.
Yeah.
I really
definitely.
have, and the brokers okayed it. Somebody couldn't pay all their commission, so I cut the commission in half. They had 2 jet skis up on a trailer, Those
You
were
got
nice.
the jet skis?
Oh, yeah.
I need new clients. I need to come out to Denham. People in the city don't have just jet skis laying around.
Well, sometimes, you just do what you got to do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So so even though there was crazy shit, right, when we were starting in this business, there's still crazy shit that goes on
to this day,
and people don't realize it. They really don't. What crazy shit you had happen lately?
So recently, this was last year. I had a guy, he was referred to me by a client. I get a lot of referrals, a lot of referral business from my past clients.
Right.
Like you said, that's relationships. They feel like, I'm great and they just want to.
They trust you.
Yeah, they trust me and they know I'm going to take care of their people.
That's right.
So the guy comes, really, really nice guy, single dad, and he's looking for a house with a pool. He wants a house with a pool.
All right.
So during 2020, 2021, like, that became the thing.
Well, yeah, and it still really is the thing.
Yeah.
People want their own oasis in their backyard. And plus, it's
Exactly.
bringing the value up of houses. But go ahead.
Exactly. So, and I know when I first started, a house with a pool was like, no.
Not right.
Like, I don't want a house with a pool.
Negative.
But it totally shifted in 2020 and 21, and I think that's because so many people were at their house. There's like, if I'm gonna be here,
They
I might
work
as well have,
remotely. Yeah, that's
I might
right.
as well have the amenities. So my client, he was referred to me, like I said, young guy, single father, had a daughter. They were looking for a home with a pool. So we, we're looking and we're not really seeing nothing because you know how inventory was, and finding a house with a pool was like a needle in a haystack.
Right.
So finally we run across one, and very nice pool, home, very well taken care of, but it's vintage, right?
Oh, Lord.
You can tell from the pictures. So we go to the house, and you know what's the weirdest thing to me?
What's weird?
When the seller stays, like, for the showings.
Yeah.
It could be good and it could be
It
bad.
just depends on the seller situation. Like if they're disabled, handicapped. I usually don't.
Yeah.
Or even if they're elderly.
Exactly. So,
But
he
that's
was
the
an
tough
elderly
ones.
gentleman.
See, that's the tough ones. They want to just talk because they're real proud of their house and they don't get at you.
Exactly.
They can make it worse. But go ahead. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's exactly what happened.
Uh-oh.
So we go in, and the guy is sitting on the sofa. He's just watching CNN. He's just chilling. He's like, "Hey, how y'all doing? Y'all come on in. Like, look around. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you like." So we start walking in, and my client is instantly like, I could feel the tenseness, like, because it makes people feel awkward.
It does.
Because now you can't really look at the house like you want to. You can't really say the things
Right.
that you want to say, and you don't want to be disrespectful. Not at all. So we're walking through. He says, "I'll show you guys the house."
Oh, jeez. now, not only is he the owner, he become the agent.
He became the agent.
Go ahead.
I say, cool. Yeah, show us the
What else
house. You live
supposed to-
here.
What else you
Right.
supposed to say? Sit your ass down. We got you.
No, sir.
Go ahead.
We don't want your help. So he hops up and he's like, "Let me show you." So he's like walking in front of us. My client's standing behind him. I'm behind my client. He's like, "Come on in. This room right here. This is where I keep my guns." It's like, okay. So he's like, "This is my gun and this is my gun." I was like, "Oh, okay. You got a lot of guns, man." So backstory about the seller. He had came into town. Him and his wife moved to North Carolina or something like that. We
their
found
guns?
this out. We found this out because he told us literally everything while we were there for the showing.
Well, elderly people, they don't have a lot of people to talk to, so it was nice for them to see you.
Yeah.
They want to get their whole story.
He was excited. Walked us through. Yeah, see this sink right here? It leaks, but if you turn it like this, then it probably won't leak as much. So I'm like, oh, well, he's giving information. I was like, "Hey, there's a stain on the ceiling
Where did that
right
come
here.
from? Yeah.
What happened here? Oh, this is probably a roof leak." Yeah, it's probably leaking. I'm just trying to get to my wife. She wants me to come back. I need to sell a house. I need to get to my wife. Blah blah blah. He's like, "So some of this stuff, I'm gonna leave it." My client, he quiet. Like, he's just quiet.
He's introvert.
Yeah.
Why you got an extrovert?
Yeah, he's just
Okay.
that's his personality. He's just quiet, and I'm looking at him. He's looking at me, and so he's like, "Yeah. So see this room here? I'm gonna leave all this stuff." It's like, the bed. You're gonna leave the bed. I'm gonna leave this too. It's like a bike and a treadmill from like 1960. He's like, "Yeah, you're gonna be able to work out on that. You look like you work out." He's like, "You look like you work out." I was like, "Yeah, you do look like you work out." So keep in mind, like, this is a new client. I think this was the first house we saw together. So I had only been talking to him on the phone. We had a consultation. So I'm still kind of feeling him out. I'm looking at his face. He's like so uncomfortable. He turned like beet red.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like crying on the inside. I'm like, these clothes are for my wife. Now, you can take these and you can probably donate them, but I'm going to take a few of these shirts. I'm like, you going to leave the rest for him? It's like, this dude is like 6'5".
I don't dress in drag. What?
Yeah, so look. So he brings us out. He has all kinds of things. He has a a vacuum cleaner from the gas station that you can put the 25 cent in. Like he has one of those.
Okay.
It's sitting outside. So he's literally like walking through. This is a new refrigerator. I'm leaving this. So we cool. You can leave the refrigerator. Blah, blah, blah.
Well, yeah, I mean, just don't leave the underwear. I'm with you, but go ahead.
So, okay. So we leave the house. I talk to my client. He likes the house. He sees the potential in it. He really wants the pool because he wants it more so for his daughter. So he's willing to deal with, the little wear and tear of the home and some of the things that have to be done. So we negotiated him a great deal, and we got the house under contract. I was working, the agent that I was working with, he was an elderly agent too. He's been in business for a very long time. He have to be about at least 80.
Okay.
He was so sweet though. He was a pleasure to deal with. So we go back for the home inspection. He's there. He's like, I'm like,
the seller's there?
The seller's there.
He didn't leave?
He didn't leave.
He probably want to go over and tell you what he's going to leave now.
My home inspector shows up before we do. He arrives a little before we do. And so he comes out. He's like, hey, Joe, there's a man in there. I was like, oh man? He's like, yeah. He was like, yeah. I was like, that's the seller. He was like, oh, okay. He said, I didn't know if it was your client. And I said, no, that's the seller. I said, he not leaving, man. Like, he not going nowhere.
He parked.
I was like, so just work around him or whatever. Right. So the home inspector's like inspecting. He's like, what you doing?
That's what you don't want to do.
And so then my client finally shows up. And when he's walking up the driveway, he's like, is that guy here? I was like, yes.
That's
he's here. He was like, oh, man. So go in. We do the home inspection. Everything turned out good. He was a cool little guy.
Oh, good.
But let's fast forward to the closing.
Uh-oh.
Let's fast forward to that. So we literally go back for the final walkthrough. The final walkthrough is when you go back to the house. You want to make sure that it's in the condition that it was when you initially saw it. You also want to make sure that if any repairs have been done, that they're done properly. You want to check all of that stuff.
And do you do a final walk? Do you try to do a final walkthrough once the owner has all their stuff out? Because that's really hard to do.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
That's hard to do.
Yeah, so I try to do it at least, if an owner is living there, I try to do it at least like 2 days prior to closing to give them the opportunity to at least get a majority of the stuff out. So I was like, hey, we're doing our final walkthrough. I was like, you finally going to get to see the house, without his stuff.
Without the stuff he might leave behind.
Without the stuff. You're going to... when we were walking through the house, the man was like, I'm going to leave that. And my client is just like shaking his head no. So we go back to the house. I was like, yeah, like today's the day. We going to see it, man. Like without the stuff. We go to the house. He meets us at the door, of course. He's like, meets us at the door.
He's there for final walkthrough also?
He's there for final walkthrough too.
I wonder if the man going to leave after y'all close. Don't sound like it. Don't sound like it.
So he has a U-Haul that he's putting items into. So he has a storage shed outside, storage shed outside.
Okay.
This was our first time getting a look in there.
Uh-oh. The first time for you to look into the utility shed outside?
Exactly. It was something that
like
he
a
added
tough shed?
on. It was massive. Not your regular normal shed. This is like a storage shed.
Like a bunker house.
Exactly. We look in there. This dude have boats. He got canoes. He got golf bags. He have signs from businesses that he had back in the 60s.
Oh, wow.
All that's in there. Okay. And the only thing that he's doing when we get there is he's trying to move a safe. It's like a little small safe. I was like, what the hell is in that safe? Because he leaving so much stuff behind, something got to be very valuable in there. So he's like struggling trying to get it. And my client just like picks it up, puts it in the truck for him. So he's like, we're going to do our final walkthrough. We're going to walk through the house. Okay, you cool with that? He's like, yeah. I was like, you got everything you need? Is there anything we can help you with? No, I'm fine. We walk through the door. Everything is in the house that was there when we came to the house.
Your final walkthrough consisted of he didn't move a damn thing out of the house?
He didn't move not one thing out of the house. He left everything. And yeah. So remember, my client he's quiet. He cool.
Introvert.
He's an introvert. He's super calm. And I'm just like, I walk in and I look.
What happened?
So I look at him. I said, he left all the shit in the house. And I was like, what you want to do, man? I said, what you want to do? I said, just tell me. He was like, Joe, I don't really think it's nothing I can do. I say, how do you feel about this? So then he comes in, because we can't really talk, because his ass come. And he's like, yeah, so I'm leaving this. I'm going to go ahead and leave this. You can have all of this stuff. I don't even need any of this, because I'm driving back to North Carolina, and I just want to go back with minimal stuff. My client's so sweet. He said, it's all good, man. You can leave it.
Oh, that's a miracle in itself. So your buyer let that seller leave all his shit that he wanted to leave.
They had food in the refrigerator.
Well, not that shit. I mean, come on. They really left
They
the food
had
in the refrigerator?
seasoning. They had Tony Chachere's in the cabinet.
Oh, no.
He literally left everything. And I told my client, I said, you know what, man? I said, you can do like a Facebook marketplace on estate sale or something like that. I said, and just let me know if you need my help.
But that's a good, so your buyer got a good heart. And then on top of that, that elderly man, he had a heart too. It was just different.
It was just a little different. Right. It was just a little different, and it's all about perspective. You know, he was the perfect buyer for that particular seller.
That's right.
He was, and we worked out a great deal. So we didn't really want to beat him up about inspection and stuff like that. Right. And the deal that we worked out was so great. And all my client really wanted, all he was focused on was getting a pool. So that other stuff, he was just, that's all he wanted. He just wanted a pool for his daughter.
And see, sometimes we come across those issues, and the public out here listening, they really don't know. They just think we just make a lot of money and just bring people together. No, there's a lot of things that go into play. Now, you talked about this little box that he had in that shed. Did you ever find out what was in that?
We did not. And look, my client asked him. He said, "Hey, man, what's in?" Because it was heavy. Because the man, he was struggling. He was trying to get it out.
Like, what size was it?
Probably about this big.
Well, they can't see that big.
It was. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all can see that.
But that's on YouTube. But they can't see it on Apple. So what are we looking at? 2 foot?
Probably maybe like a 2 to 3 foot, 2 by 5, something like that. So it wasn't
that's a
that
pretty
big.
good size little box. 2 foot by 5 foot?
Yeah, 2. Yeah, like 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So he helped him. I'm gonna assume it was guns. Because that's the only thing he didn't leave. He didn't leave his guns.
Well,
he left the treadmill though.
He did. Well, nobody's gonna leave their guns. Everybody gonna leave their treadmills.
Yeah, but
those are too heavy.
I joked about it. I said, "What are you having there? Like gold bars?" And he was like, he laughs, he chuckled. I said, "He had something in there that's very valuable." Of course,
you know. So speaking of older people, and this just reminded me of something that happened. So, a lot of people keep things in a box, right? So you remember. So we flooded here with the no-name storm in 2016, right? And I flooded too. And so just to move forward about an extra year and a half later, like 2018, I had this client who's my friend, and they wanted to buy this flooded home way up on piers, and it flooded down in Ascension Parish right on the river, or the Amite River, actually right down from Fred's on the river.
Wow.
Which is a place everybody goes and enjoys. They party and drink and have bands there. So, I'm like, okay, you want to buy this house way up 12 foot in the air? You don't think it flooded a foot in there, right? So that tells you how much water got around here.
Yeah.
And it flooded over 12 foot up in the air. And
wow.
He wanted to buy it. I'm like, okay. So we went through that, and we were close to closing, and I had to be out of town. I believe I probably was in Florida at that time. That's about the only place I like to go to. Florida? And so, I know I was out of town, and so my buyer, we had gotten permission from the seller. He's an elderly person. And we got permission to kind of clean up because, when the flood came, it brought a lot of stuff. Actually, this house up on piers, Joe, had another house that had come down the river and collided into it. I still have that picture. So there's a house, and it's the corner of the house that went into my client's house.
Yeah.
So we actually were buying 2 houses. Right. There was just one house kind of stuck up in there. And I had pictures of it. The corner of it had floated down the river, and when the river drained down, the house just stayed.
It just stuck. Right.
Do you know people's belongings are still in there? And we still had the electrical pole was dragged with it, with the electrical box.
Yeah.
Now, this house was down the river somewhere. It had floated down the river, loaded up in this guy's yard. When the river went down, that house just stayed there in the house that my client wanted to buy. So my client said, can we get permission from the seller to demolish this house?
Other house?
So I can work on my house once we close.
Yeah.
The seller's like, oh, yeah, because we asked the seller, can you remove that house that kind of collided into the house we want? And they're like, well, I don't have a tractor, et cetera, et cetera. I said, okay, well, my client, if you give him permission, sign off that he hurts himself. We did the right paperwork.
Yeah.
So he could do that. All right, so remember, I'm in Florida on vacation, right? And vacation never consists of vacation. You're still working, right?
Yeah, as a real estate agent,
Joe,
we're still working.
We still working. That's absolutely true. So he calls me and he says, He took some pictures. He said, son, I want you to see this house. Now, this is an older shotgun house. When it came down the river and collided, like I told you, the electrical pole was still connected to it, electrical box, all the electricity wire was in there. The furniture was still in there. But it was knocked over, muddy, wood. The refrigerator, old refrigerator, was still in there, knocked over. So my client starts cleaning it out with the backhoe and starts demolishing it. But they want to see whose house it is. So
I was just about to say, who the house belongs to.
Well, hell, if we know, it's an old house. And so my client was cleaning it all out and just kind of wanted to see maybe whose house this was so he could let them know, hey, your house is down the river here. I got it. And this house was like about 1,200 square feet.
Yeah.
House that floated down the river. Okay. And so he's digging back and his wife is digging through stuff. And there's this box. Shoebox. Mm-hmm. There's a shoebox that my client discovered. He calls me. He says, Sondra, and he sent me some pictures. He just about got the house demolished. He's separating the metal from the wood because, you got to scrap it a certain way and dispose of it a certain way, right? He said, Sondra, there's a shoebox. I said, okay. What you want me to do? He said, well, I think we know who the owner is. I said, what the hell's in the shoebox?
And right. Then you see my face. I'm like,
he said, and he took a picture of it. And he opened it up, the lid. There's a bag of ashes from the funeral home saying whose body this is.
Oh, my God.
I'm not kidding you. I said, what you going to do with that? He says, I'm going to do the right thing. He goes, I'm going to go find the owner.
Return them. All right.
And return these ashes in the box. I said, this is some crazy shit. It took him 2 days to find, because he called the funeral home, who he did a research. I mean, he did his due diligence.
Yeah, he did.
And trying to really find this person. And he found him. He found him. And Joe, he drives down there, down on the other end of the river. That old man is sitting on the porch. This is some crazy shit.
Yeah.
He says, sir, you missing your house? He goes, yeah, you found it? He said, did I find it? He said, I'm trying to buy the house up here on 42 and up here, and your house has kind of, a while back when it floated down the river, and it's in my house. But I done knocked it down. It's destroyed. He got really upset.
Really?
Yeah, he got really upset. He said, well, where's my belongings? And so my client said, well, I have the meter still if you want the meter and the electrical pole. I mean, I got the metal divided from the wood if you want some of that. But he said, I got this shoebox. And he said, this is your shoebox. He looked at that shoebox. He said, I don't want that shoebox.
Oh, my God.
I said, tell him, you shitting, right? Tell me he didn't tell you that. And he said, I don't want that shoebox. And he said, well, sir, I know I'm doing the right thing. I'm trying to buy this house. Your house collided into my house that I'm buying. You can come get your shit down there if you want. It's all muddy and deteriorated, but you're going to take this shoebox because that's registered to you. He said, I tried to get rid of that bitch a long time ago, and she's done come back and got me again. I'm not kidding you. If it wouldn't have been for that funeral home piece of paper in that ashes, that box.
Oh, my God.
So come to find out that was his dead wife that he didn't care was in the...
It was in a shoebox.
It's in a shoebox.
Right.
But listen, the biggest thing I think of all this is I have a picture of it. The shoebox never got muddy or wet. Tell me how how you see a Bible? Okay, you get a house catches on fire and the Bible never burns.
Yeah.
Well, we understand that's God, right? Well, maybe this is God too.
It is. That is God.
My client brought her back. We didn't. I mean, my client figured out who it was and all that,
Right,
and then
right.
brought it back, and he sitting on the porch.
So he didn't want
I don't want that bitch back. What kind of person does that?
Put his ass in a shoebox right with him.
Yeah. So I'm telling you.
Oh, my goodness.
It's crazy, isn't it?
That is crazy. Like the whole story, like even the house, like stuck in the house.
Yeah. Well, in the flood,
Right.
after and it took us a long time to clean up. I mean, it was 2017 when I finally moved to Livingston.
Yeah.
Because I lived in Baton Rouge and flooded. But, I had a lot of clients. I mean, over 180 clients that were flooded also. And they're homeless. So you feel very helpless.
Yeah.
You can't help a bunch of people. But when you've got clients that want to buy flooded homes, I just thought it was crazy. But then this one got a box in it with some ashes, and you're just trying to be right.
Exactly.
Like, what the hell? What's people thinking nowadays, you know?
I guess that man said, I lost my house.
I lost my house, and I lost that bitch. But she back on my porch.
She came back. Why you ain't bring my house back?
Crazy stuff, Joe.
Let the Lord do his work.
Yeah, well, he did. He did.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, just some crazy stuff that I've gone through and still go through it. So,
it is. It's a ever, like, I feel like with real estate, like, it's a never ending. I feel like every year, either I'm learning something new or I'm seeing something that I have never seen before. Like, you ever been in a house? I always tell my clients, like, houses, and I know you have. You've been in a business way longer than me. But I always tell my clients, houses have, like, a feeling, right?
Right.
They do.
That's right.
And one time we went in a house, and I remember growing up, my grandmother used to have, like, these little porcelain dolls. And she would put them, like, in a little cabinet. Right. And it always felt like they were looking. Like, we would move around.
They followed me.
And you'll see the eyes moving.
Yep.
And I remember going in the house one day. It was one of my clients. She came from California. They were relocating. And so we walk in the back door. And this day her husband was at work. It was just me and her. We walk in the back door, and I instantly felt like, as soon as I walked in, I just felt like this creepy feeling. So I just stepped in the kitchen, and I stopped. And she was like, why you stop? I said, I felt something. So she comes in, and she's like, something don't feel right. I was like, so look, we walk in the living room, and like it's like a whole wall with them little porcelain dolls. I said, oh, hell no. I told her, I said, I can't.
That's the one to watch you.
I'm telling you, when we walked in, all of them turned their head. Like, I'm just playing, y'all. Like, I felt like that. I felt like we walked in, and all of them turned around and looked at us like.
I understand.
And she walked in right behind me. She said, oh, hell no. And she literally ran out the back door. She ran.
See, I mean, you experienced this.
So I tell people, like, houses have a feeling. They do. Right. They have a feeling. I went to a house with my sister, and she instantly walked in and said, somebody died in here. I say, what? I was like,
yeah, I can't, you know.
And come to find out, talking to the agent.
Well, yeah.
The man had died in there.
Well, right, but remember,
we don't disclose.
We don't have to disclose in Louisiana. So
exactly. So,
all right. Well, I appreciate you coming over here and coming up on the podcast and sharing some of your stories, because I thought I was the only crazy one with stupid shit.
Oh no, that's just. I think I just told like some stories that came to mind, but I'm pretty sure I have some more crazy ones. So we definitely have to come back one day and share a few more of them. But I'm excited about this. This is my first podcast.
Well, I appreciate you coming.
I appreciate you.
Appreciate it. All right. Well, thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see you back next week on Dirt, Grit, and Stupid Shit.
One more
Adventures
thing.
in Real Estate. What?
Where can people follow you?
Where can they follow me at?
Yeah.
On the YouTube. This is going to be on
the YouTube.
on the YouTube and the Spotify and the Apple Podcast. All this will be on there.
Okay.
So you can share it too.
Yeah. So I'm definitely gonna share. But if you want to get to know me, you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook.
Joe knows.
Joe knows BR.
Joe knows BR.
Exactly.
That's
right.
That's right.